Hey everyone, welcome back. I am Lover's Lance.
And I'm Moon Candy. We're Isekai'd to the world of reincarnation tragedy and one very rebellious magic bowl.
That's right, we're talking about Saintess of the Golden Bowl, a romantic visual novel from Transparent Games. We're joined by the game's creator and writer Anna and the marketing specialist of the game Hubert. Welcome. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay, I'm Anna. I'm a game designer. I've worked in the game dev industry for over 4 years now, and I'm the game director and writer on Saintess of the Golden Bowl. I run Transparent Games, which is a Polish visual novel studio focused on Otome visual novels, and now we have a Kickstarter for Saintess of the Golden Bowl, our first commercial project. We developed over a dozen free visual novels in those 4 years, and now we are doing a commercial project.
Wow, a dozen of Otome visual novel for 4 years, that's a lot. Did
Someone
you do
sounds
it
like
yourself?
an enthusiast.
Yeah. What about you, Hubert? What are you doing?
Hi, hello. Well, I run a one-man marketing agency, and I help indie developers like Anna with their marketings, and I also educate people about effective marketing strategies. For Saintess of the Golden Bow, I was doing, helping Anna with everything marketing related, although Anna came already very well prepared and needed only some structuring.
Well, I guess after making 10 games, you have to be prepared for everything.
Yeah.
Can I ask something? Have you two worked before on like previous games, as in together as marketing strategy specialist and dev, or is this like your first project?
This is our first run together. We met at the beginning of October last year. This is where we started with the campaign for Saintess of the Golden Bowl.
I see.
Well, you guys are doing a great job because I follow your Kickstarter progress and I saw that you got fully funded. So congrats on that. But now let's move on to the game. So Celine, a 20-year-old web novel fan, dies and wakes up in her favorite Otome Isekai, except she's supposed to die early in the story. Can you give us the rundown? What's Saintess of the Golden Bowl all about?
Okay, so Celine is a fan of the web novel Saint of the Golden Bowl, and one day she dies and wakes up in the body of Celeste, which is an extra character in that web novel. And that character is supposed to die to become part of Levi, the titular saint's tragic backstory. But, of course, Celine just died, so she doesn't want to die again. With the help of the player, she survives the event. This causes a butterfly effect, and soon Celine finds herself becoming the Saintess of the Golden Bowl, as we have in the title, and not Levi. Levi doesn't become the saint, just stays the knight of Celeste. And now Celine, as Celeste, is supposed to save the Lokari Empire from the Demon Queen, and she's supposed to survive to tell the tale. Something the player finds out is not so simple.
So, about the entire story, I noticed while playing the game that the world tends to work on the actual, on like book logic. And I wanted to ask what actually made you lean into that meta-genre awareness, and how did you weave it into the core of the story?
Celine really liked the story of Saint of the Golden Bow when it was in web novel format. But when she gets to live in the world of the book, she finds out it wasn't that good of a book in the first place. It's a romance book, and the boys love tragic fantasy romance. It's pretty campy. Players have asked me before if I'm going to write that novel as an add-on or something for people to read later, but the problem with that book is that it wasn't very good, and it's part of the story that it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good because it leans into heavy tropes. For example, defeating the Demon Queen requires not only accessing the Golden Bow's magic, but also finding the love of love interest. As we know in Saintess of the Golden Bow, the love interests are bisexual and pansexual because I wanted more representation for that too, so it doesn't really change much in the sense that it's a boys' love tragic romance, but the love interest can be interested in the player character. And during the game, Celine comments often on the book operating on book logic. So she is criticizing the original web novel, and I thought that would be an interesting exploration of what it would be like to be reincarnated into one of your favorite books, and then finding out that it's not really that good of a book.
Oh, that's a funny concept. I really liked it. Like, I've never read something that goes like that before. Yeah, you usually get isekai into the world, but you have no idea what's going on. And in our case, Lee knows what's going on, at least in the beginning. And then it turns out that she doesn't really know what's going on anymore because the story completely changed because of her. So it is quite a different perspective. And I actually wanted to ask you something about the empire where everything is set up. So this Lucaria Empire itself, it's got magic, political intrigue, demons, and this very divine weapon no one seems to fully understand, including our main character. How did you approach building a world where romance and survival are so tightly linked?
I started working on this story 4 years ago, and during those 4 years, many details have changed. So the world building of Saintess of the Golden Bow is really complicated because I didn't want to only write a romance Otome. I wanted to give the player a solid fantasy story as well. So it's pretty meta-contextual with Celine not really being Celeste, and she knows a lot about the world from the original novel, but at the same time she's experiencing the story changing. It's quite challenging to write, to be honest. Because it's so meta-contextual, and especially is challenging when we go to the love interest routes and they find out about Celeste, Celine not really being Celeste. And I have a world building and outline document, and that document is 36,000 words long, so it takes 4 hours to read through all of it. It's like half of a 300-page long book, which is the usual length for romance novels. And so because I started world building so long ago, I really needed to document everything, and that's why I ended up with such a long documentation.
Wow, that's a lot.
Can I ask you something, Anna? This might come off slightly off from the... Like, it might come slightly random, but I'm curious how you actually started the development, like the story building you just talked about. Was it something very random you just started creating, or did you have a goal from the moment you started writing the world?
So originally when I started writing Saintess of the Golden Bow, it wasn't an isekai because I wasn't really familiar with isekais 4 years ago. Something that isekais became popular in the recent 3 years or something. I think I decided 1 year into development that it would be a different kind of story. I first started with Celeste just being Celeste, and the story wasn't really working for me. So I think I rewrote the part that you see as the demo 4 times since then, until I was completely satisfied with how it goes. I have a few inspirations when it comes to, from the point that I changed the story into becoming an Otome Isekai. That's Villains Are Destined to Die, which is a webcomic and a web novel, as well as ReZero, the anime.
I know ReZero. I've watched ReZero. Is that where the respawning at the end we get? Spoiler alert, but the respawning mechanic we get at the end, is it inspired by that?
Yes.
I see, okay.
But please mark that as a spoiler on the video.
Yeah, we will put a spoiler warning. Sorry, I just got curious. My bad. Maybe I shouldn't have talked about it.
Well, maybe we should do a spoiler warning right now because we're gonna talk about the characters and their personalities. So, guys, if you don't want to spoil your demo, please maybe skip the questions about the characters. I will put a timeline marker on the video later.
Yeah, so very nice lead into that. I wanted to talk about the trio that stole our hearts, you know. One stole my heart in particular, but that's another topic. So we got Levi, Noah, and Elijah. Each of them brings something fundamentally different. Let's start with Levi. He is sweet, loyal, and heartbroken. What was it like writing a story about the forbidden love between a noble and her loyal knight?
Hey, so it's good that we have a spoiler warning because I need to go a bit into debunking that trope. The story between Celeste and Levi in Levi's route is not really a story that leans heavily into the trope of a noble lady and her loyal knight, but instead we have the problem of Levi being in love with the original Celeste, who didn't return his feelings, and Celine is not that person. She is someone else entirely, and throughout the road, Levi falls out of love with the original Celeste. The reason for that being a spoiler, how it goes and why he falls out of the love so quickly and quickly enough, because the route is 10 hours long, right? And he finds a new love with Celine. But they're still living in the confines of the Loncari Empire politics, so to the outside world, they are still a knight and a lady, and that does add further complications to the romance. But I wanted to make the Levi route being more than just something that follows the trope.
Yeah, I get it. Actually, my next question was about his knight in shining armor energy, but you kind of explained that. I just wanted to ask, what does Celeste challenge in Levi as a character? How does she change him?
So the original Celeste often ran away from Levi because she found his love for her overbearing. So he had to constantly be on the chase after her, both in pining for her and in trying to protect her as her knight. After years of being her knight, Levi is frustrated with how Celeste is treating him, but we as Celine, we are treating him differently, of course. If we try to go after him, that changes the dynamic between them and confuses Levi.
So it does actually change his feeling towards the character. I get it.
Okay, but enough about Levi. I want to talk about Noah. Noah is my favorite character. I referred to him a bit ago as the one who stole my heart in particular. He's the one. He's bold, fatalistic, and very cocky, which is my favorite part of him. But he also clearly carries a lot of fear and self-doubt. What's Celeste's impact on him, and how does their chemistry grow from teasing to something deeper?
First, Noah sees Celeste as a fun distraction from that whole being afraid of death thing. That's why he teases her, but in his route he becomes truly interested in her and starts changing under her influence, because she is a great support to him. As we know, his biggest support so far has been Tariq, and he doesn't really have a lot of people around him that he trusts. So with the impact of Celeste being there for him, he becomes less fatalistic and he gains confidence that he can indeed be in control of his life and change the politics of the Loncari Empire in his favor. Being with Celeste gives him strength to become a more confident person.
So I must say here that Noah was my favorite as well. I guess both me and Moon Candy have very toxic relationship with characters and love in general, as we can see. But we noticed that the dynamic between Noah and the main character has this enemies to reluctant partner spark at first. And I wanted to ask you, what was this one favorite scene between them? Or maybe it could be more than one. So can you share what you enjoyed writing there?
Speaking of toxic, I'm a huge fan of the sword at the throat scene, which we can see in the first hour of the demo. It really shows how afraid and dramatic Noah is and how collected Celine can be when she thinks she's just taking part in a scene from the book. It's not real. But Noah's feelings in that scene are real, and it opens them the dynamic between them as enemies to lovers romance. Because after that scene, Celeste thinks he's very unstable and not serious about her, and doesn't respond well to his teasing, not being able to take his antics seriously.
I really like the scene with the cupcakes. I think that actually we commented that with Moon Candy.
Yeah, the tease scene where she breaks into a women's only party. that made me laugh.
It
that was so
gets
funny.
the cakes and vanishes like, bye bitches, that's for me. It was very fun. I love that.
That is what made him my favorite character, because that was just so funny. I love that scene.
Same.
Nice going on that scene. Anyway, though, I hate to switch topic, but we also gotta talk about Elijah too. I'd talk about Noah for hours if I could, but we can't, so moving on. Elijah is the Syrian high priest with the most forbidden vibe of them all. He's got magic, secrets, and a very, it's like this permeating air of sadness around him. What drew you to making his route so emotionally reserved?
It's very difficult to talk about Elijah without spoiling his twist, and I don't want to spoil it because it's his main thing. He really does have secrets, and I hope the players who will play his route will see that too and enjoy it. I know Elijah is not the fan favorite from the demo because Noah and George are, but he has his fans too, so I think they won't be disappointed with the roller coaster his route is.
Okay, so to me, it seemed like he very comfortably fits to the childhood friend trope, by the way, because he's very friendly, he's very caring, even though they're not childhood friends. Still, the vibe is there, the golden retriever vibe is there, at least to me. But now when you're saying that there's a twist, I'm quite interested in what's going to happen later on in the story.
He doesn't have a twist, but his twist is really something else.
So, I noticed that his scenes with Celeste often have very heavy tension, not in the bad way though. They say so little, but his magic aura says so much, the sadness and everything. What makes their connection special in your eyes?
So they are at first connected by light magic. Celeste is strangely drawn to Elijah's magic, and neither of them know why. Elijah thinks it's funny. Celeste thinks it's embarrassing. There are plot reasons for this connection that will be revealed later, but for now I can say Elijah's light magic gives Celeste a sense of comfort, like coming home, and that's why she's drawn to him.
So he's some kind of a family to her, right?
I wouldn't say that because he's still a romance option.
Yeah, okay, so
Jesus.
this sounded weird, I'm sorry.
Okay. Wow.
I felt this very, very supportive vibe from him. That's why I used that word, but it was the wrong thing. I'm sorry.
Supportive, I think, is right to say.
Yeah. Family is not. Supportive works well, I think.
So, what about, George? Let's talk about George. It's obvious in the demo, he's not a romance option, but players are already pretty interested in him, as you yourself mentioned. What should we expect in his DLC route? What's going to be his dynamic with Celeste in it?
2 hours ago from when we have this podcast, we announced that we will be making the George route anyway, even if the stretch goal won't be fully funded, but it will take us up to 3 years to complete that the release, and everyone who backed at the tier 4 plus tiers, they will get that key for the DLC. So I can safely say he is a romance option. So the George route is all about helping Celeste to stand on her own 2 feet as a noble lady. George tutors her and gives her access to knowledge about etiquette and local empire politics that she otherwise doesn't have. Finally, she'll be able to become a strong force in the struggles for power between nobles and influence the empire. George is like the mature older guy options who supports Celeste's growth. So they have that dynamic between them. The fact that he really helps her grow into her full potential as a noble lady.
I was wondering, why is he that interested in Celeste, by the way? Because suddenly, like, when she starts going to this celebrations and balls and ceremonial stuff, he's the one who actually helps her, shows her which fork to use when she has to eat and what are the dynamics there. So he just decides to help her for no reason at all. So I found that quite interesting. I didn't get where that came from, but I guess he has his reasoning behind that. Maybe he is very interested in her. Like, he told us that he's very interested in her, but he never told us why. Can you please?
Maybe he's just kind to her. Or
That's
maybe
why.
he has his reasons.
Well, he's quite cold and distant towards everyone else. Like, her sister mentioned that. Like, it's quite the interesting thing there going
We're just
on.
special.
Yeah.
We're just special. That's it. That's the reason.
We're the chosen one after all. So let's move on in detail. Let's move on to talk about Celeste and some details. So, in the beginning of the story, we understand that she is a tomboy noble who avoided dresses and etiquette. And now, Celine and her body is trying to learn how to be a Saintess. How do you balance her outer confidence with the inner panic she's constantly pushing down?
So I try to be as realistic as possible as to how Celine experiences being reincarnated into a world where she doesn't have access to the skills of the previous owner of her body. But at the same time, I didn't want to dwell too much on the despair and anxiety this would probably cause, because then we would have no good pacing and no good progress with the story. So Celine decides to take on the role of the Saintess quite early, and while she feels sometimes and that fear drags her down, she's still focused on doing her best in her new role, and I found that players who played the demo appreciated that she's so driven and focused on becoming the Saintess into her new role.
All right, and I wanted to talk about. I wanted to ask another question about her. The fact her modern mindset of Earth and knowledge of the book, it clashes very interestingly with the fantasy expectations you'd get from a usual novel like from a usual romantic fantasy novel. So my question is, what was the most fun part about writing her internal commentary on the world she found herself in?
Celine can be pretty snarky. She often comments on how stupid the decisions of the original author of the web novel were when he was constructing the world. Like the love aspect of defeating the Demon Queen, or how ordinary the creation myth behind the fantasy world is. And I found it very fun to write from her perspective, that she's really opinionated when it comes to those things.
And I have a design question about her character. So, to me, it's very important. I noticed that she's purple-coated, and purple is my favorite color, and I really love when the main characters are purple. So why did you choose that color palette for her?
The funny thing is that in the original concepts for the game, Celeste's hair and outfit were blue, actually. But that changed as we developed the game. We wanted Celeste to look different from most Otome game protagonists, and we haven't found that many that are purple or rather violet. So we decided to do that to make our protagonist unique.
You know that the purple color is usually connected to some kind of a royal blood, royal colors, magic as well. So I think that this color fits her very much. So thank you for this character design there.
I'm a bit surprised your character design philosophy is just I want a unique character, considering like the palette fits very well with who she is and what she becomes.
Yeah,
Just
I don't know.
surprised me.
Sometimes the choices are simpler than you would think. You just like something and you do it.
You know, when I was in high school, we used to have this literature subject in school, and they would always ask, what do you think the author thought when he made the curtains blue? Is this his internal sadness? Stuff like that. So I am used to searching every little detail in that, and sometimes I don't realize that it's a simple answer. Like there's nothing behind that. It's just I like this color. This is gonna be the color palette for that character, and that's completely fine. We don't have to have a deeper meaning behind that every time.
Yeah, very true.
So let's move on to the design and development of the game itself more than the story. The extended demo we played already has like at least 4 hours of content, branching paths, and beautiful CG. That's a lot for a demo, and my question is, what was the biggest design challenge when deciding what to actually include in the demo?
So we went to Kickstarter with 70% of the game already developed. So it was just a matter of showing the community what the game is really like, and we wanted to include the twist that's at the end of the 4-hour long demo without spoiling it marketing-wise. So it's a long demo, but the players who played till the end were really impressed with what the full game is promising to be like. We wanted to show like the demo, the 4-hour long demo, to be representative of the full product. That's why it has so many CGs and that partial voice acting that we are now gathering funds for the full game.
Good thing that we mentioned the voice acting, because my next question was just about that. How did you find your cast, and were there any standout performances or fun recording stories you can share?
We've been developing Saintess of the Golden Bow for 4 years. In those 4 years, we released a dozen of free visual novels, as I said before. Most of them are fully voiced. They're around 2 to 4 hours of gameplay. And in those years, I've built a roster of voice actors that I trust, and most of those voice actors that are voicing Saintess of the Golden Bow are the people I've worked with before on other projects. As for who I'm most impressed with Noah's voice actor, Josh Portillo, who delivered so many different performances in our games throughout the years. For example, in Dusk and Dawn as Magno, the villain. It's still the same voice, but it's so different.
Noah's voice acting was definitely impressive. It got to my heart. Let me just say that again.
I bet.
Yes.
So, speaking of like my heart and affection, let's talk about the affection system. Can you walk us through how players will build relationships and unlock good endings in the full version of the game?
Post Kickstarter, we're going to revamp the demo to include the affection system, which means adding more choices. Those choices will increase or decrease the love interest affection towards Celeste, and that will count towards getting the good endings. But there are 2 good endings planned per love interest, and there will be major choices to get you to one or another. But you will still need high affection to unlock them.
So it's a point system. Like,
yes,
depending on your choice, you get different points, and based on your points, you get locked in a route with the love interest. And
yes, exactly.
Okay. So a different question here. Would we be able to romance more than one character per route? I mean,
no, we are splitting the love interest into routes, so that's not possible.
In 2 routes, I don't think I get you. Like, aren't they like 4 interests? So you get 2 love interests per route?
No,
it's a good ending.
Per route. No.
So
in the demo at the end, the Commonwealth, at the end of the Commonwealth, it is decided which love interest you get, and then you are locked into that world.
Okay, I get it now.
Can I ask something else? You mentioned 2 good endings per love interest. How many bad endings will there be per love interest? How big are you planning to branch this out?
I'm not really sure at this point how many exactly there will be, but at least like 3-4 per love interest, right?
So it would be hard actually to get the good ending.
It should be hard because it's not an easy game in terms of in terms of the twist, you know.
So we mentioned the Kickstarter quite a lot during our conversation, and I think that it's time to talk a little bit in detail here. So you've built a passionate community, and as we mentioned, you already got your game fully funded. How was the campaign experience been so far?
I believe I will take on this question.
Okay.
Well, the Kickstarter for me and Anna, it was our first time working on the Kickstarter campaign, and we are thrilled to have we are thrilled to success and to have a campaign perform well. But it was definitely stressful. The last half a year was each day was bringing something new, some new responses, some new people, and it's a combination of fear, excitement, but also a lot of happiness.
Yeah, I bet that it's hard looking at the numbers and hoping that stuff are going to go well and people are going to notice your project and stuff like that. Like, good job on completing your first goal. And I wanted to ask you about the stretch goal, the first stretch goal that you got there. Did you manage to reach it?
We are pretty close to it. I believe we are above 80% to it. We have still 4 more days of the campaign, and I'm pretty sure we will be able to reach that. So all the CGs will be voiced. And, well, the next stretch goal already announced, the George DLC, even if not met, as Anna mentioned, it will be delivered. Well, it will be delivered outside of the Kickstarter campaign, but all the backers above tier 4 will receive their George DLC key. What is further stretch goals? I believe this will stay as a secret, unless we'll have very, very, very good few days.
Okay. Are you planning to continue funding the game after the Kickstarter campaign is over? I mean, there's some different kind of platforms you can raise money after the campaign is over. For example, Patreon or I don't know. There's a bunch. So are you planning to let people continue support your project?
We plan to have late pledges enabled. I believe Anna has a Patreon that works and provides some exclusive content there. But we haven't decided yet on making more stretch goals of that. It will probably just enable Transparent Games to deliver the game sooner.
Okay, everyone, you heard him. Go support Anna's Patreon. If you already support the Kickstarter campaign, it will help a lot. And also, if you're kind of late to the campaign, you know what to do.
So, I wanted to ask something a bit more specific. The fan base has been very active in trying to name Levi's younger brother. What are some of the most interesting or funny names you've seen so far?
Definitely. A little backstory to this. Throughout the Kickstarter campaign, we've made some fun activities for the backers. One of them being the Levi's brother naming contest. And the best name, maybe not the best, but the fan favorite was Jean. It's a pun on Levi's jeans brand.
Are you serious?
And,
Okay, this is very funny.
yeah, I can say if it's a winner. We're closing the contest today, and we'll decide. But another name that was quite common was Milo, which is quite fitting. We also had one more name inside Transparent Games team, but I'll keep it for myself, as it is a bit hard to use outside of Polish language.
I felt like doing a very cheesy Bobr Kurwa joke here, but I'm not gonna do it. So I guess it's time for the very special part of the podcast. We're moving towards the exclusive content question. So Anna sent us an interesting CG as a exclusive piece of never released thing. So Anna, can you tell us what's going on the CG?
So I sent you Noah's wedding outfit sprite. Yeah, it's what can I say? He's looked very handsome and hot, and I think people enjoy seeing this.
I bet that Moon Candy enjoys it a lot. I will make sure that I'm gonna send that to him so he can have it for later, I guess.
I've already begged. She doesn't want to send it. She's keeping it on purpose.
By the way, I just wanted to mention that I really like the color palette you chose for this CG. It's the red rose and the red color with the golden details. It's very good. Complements his eyes and his hair. So good job on that. I love it. I can't wait to see this wedding situation going on in the game. And before we wrap up, what can players expect from the full games in terms of length, content, and emotional damage?
So the full game will be 30 hours long with 3 love interests, Levi, Noah, and Elijah. And if the players have played till the end of the demo, they already know there will be a lot of suffering planned.
What's the world without suffering? It would be very boring, so we'll be waiting for the full release, even though it's gonna be quite a long journey. I wish you all the luck and success there.
Thank you.
Anna Hubert, this question is for both of you. Whoever wants to answer, you can. Do you have anything you want to say directly to our listeners?
I just wanted to thank everyone who supported our Kickstarter and who will decide to do late pledges as the support after listening to the podcast. And also all the people who spread the word and will spread the word about our game. Every bit helps. So we're happy that we were able to talk here on the podcast about Saintess of the Golden Bow, and I hope you found this interview interesting.
I'm joining that thank you message and adding one thing for myself. After you play your preferred path, definitely go for Elijah's ending, because it's amazing twist.
Okay.
Wow.
That's a big call. So, thank you both for joining us today. It was such a pleasant conversation.
And to our listeners who were just addressed a second ago, do go check out the extended demo of Saintess of the Golden Bowl. Wishlist the game, support the Kickstarter, and a Patreon if you prefer that. And maybe fall in love with a mad prince or two.
And until next time, be brave, stay romantic, and may the odds be ever in your favor.